esihambayo yinde lendlela esihambayo washo Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-Freedom Day. So it's the day after elections. Thought I'd just do a little pulse check if everyone is still alive and kicking and breathing. I have to give kudos to my voting station, which was at Franklin D. Roosevelt Primary School in Roosevelt Park in the Johannesburg North suburbs. Decided to take a walk there, the long walk to freedom, instead of driving. It's about 2.5 kilometers from where I stay. Decided to take a walk. No queues, maybe like 2 people in the queue that I was in, split by surnames. And then I was in and out. 3 minutes is long. I took long with the ballot papers. I just wanted to look at all the parties and the independent candidates because it's me and I've been speaking about politics. But I literally could have been inside there for like 30 seconds. Really good service, very quick. I was out. I went and I made a video on the stands at the school complaining about the 3 ballot papers because speaking to people in the queues, I realized a lot of people still didn't know what the 3 ballot papers were about. And it made me angry at the IEC's failures. Decided to drive around Johannesburg. I went to Soweto, Orlando, Pimville, looking at some of the voting stations there. Decided to drive to Alexandra Township. There was some traffic at some point somewhere there. I had to drive around. Drove through Sandton. Went to Auckland Park. And then I came home. And then I was on social media, checking out some of the posts, some of the things that people had been saying. And I'm making this video, number one, to complain about the IEC, but also just to share a few thoughts. The IEC, I've mentioned this before, I'm going to mention it again, got a budget of 2.2 billion rand last year for these elections. That is a lot of money. Yes, their budget got cut. I think some of the figures I've seen are 200 million or 350 million rand, but it's still a lot of money. And with that money, I do believe they have failed in certain aspects. I had a good voting experience and I'm politically literate. I literally sat with politicians and I've been discussing politics for like a year now. But many ordinary South Africans missed out on the education. Yes, they were not watching the panel show. They were not watching Dope Conversations. They were not watching SMWX. And I need to give a shout out to my brother, Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, who's just reached 100,000 subscribers on his platform. They were not watching Podcast and Chill, the political episodes. They were not watching The Hustler's Corner with DJ Spoo. They were not watching Dan Corder. They were not watching Zetu Kola. They were not watching, I'm not sure who else I'm missing in this. Whoever else, Mustafa, whoever else speaking about politics, David Mashabela, King David, and everyone else. They were not. They had Ukozi FM. They had Mhlobo Wenene, Likwala Kwala. They had SABC 1, 2, 3. That's what they consume. And then a lot of their big influencers, the DJs, Bama Piano, the football players, the actors that they follow. And they missed out on education. The IEC will show you their budgets. This is how much we spent on social media. This is how much we spent on radio, TV, on print, on billboards, but they failed. People do not understand the 3 ballot papers, the national, the regional, the provincial. There are people that voted and went to go and watch my TikTok videos afterwards. They're like, hey, Faze, I didn't know. Now I know, but I've already voted. So the IEC failed to educate people on the 3 papers and what they mean. Then they failed, and it was a big frustration in the last couple of days. They failed to educate people that you cannot vote where you did not register. So if the last time you voted in Newcastle, eMadadeni, Osizweni, Lobosh, Ngakane, and now you've moved to Joburg, whether maybe you're a student, you are now at tertiary, or you've moved because of work, but your last registered post was there in Newcastle, you won't be able to vote here. The change of address was a big deal. And again, the IEC will tell you, but on radio, you did not do a good job because the ordinary South African does not know. That's how you measure. You don't measure on budget, how much you spent on the platforms you used. You measure on ordinary people on the street knowing. Do people on the street know of MK, Umkhonto we Sizwe, and Jacob Zuma? Yes. Did they have the budget of the IEC? No. Oh, Ganja, how do they know of this, but they don't know of that? That means you failed in voter education. Voting stations, voting districts, voting stations closed officially at 9 p.m. last night. Many stations, unfortunately, had to go beyond 9 p.m. There were people in queues at midnight. I'm not sure if people are still voting even now, because the IEC said a voting station cannot close if there's still a queue. Now, again, another failure. You've got 27 million registered voters. This is data you have. You know I think over 23,000 voting stations. You know the registered voters per station. You know this. How do you run out of ballot papers? It means you did not send adequate with the numbers you know. This is not a budget issue. This is a planning issue. You did not send enough ballot papers. There were no ballot papers. Certain voting stations open late. These people you guys hired know. They know that people are meant to be voting from 7. You guys are meant to be open from 7. They know. So how is a voting station opening at 9, 10? Why are people in long queues? What kind of planning is this? I would like to know who got the tender for the scanners. A lot of the scanners were deemed offline, not working, and they caused huge delays in the queues. Who got the tender for the scanners? We want to know. Was it Saudi? Was it someone else? Because seemingly the scanners didn't work. And there were no backup plans. And some of the voting stations refused to go manual. That's the one issue. Scanners were a huge issue. Number 2, for many people, there was a fuck up with the splitting of surnames. It is meant to be such an easy thing. You're voting at a primary school, there's maybe 5 classrooms allocated, and then you split the classrooms on surnames. If you're from A to G, if you're from H to whatever, if you're from... Very simple. Now in South Africa, we've got a situation, and I remember this from high school when we'd have to do orals. Most black people in this country have surnames starting with an M, with an N. Omlotshwa, Omhlongo, Omagagula, Onkosi, Onchangase. Many surnames with an M and an N. So that's obviously going to be a big bulk. There by your A, those are not even black people. That's Ahmed, whatever. Anderson. Those are not really black people. The black people are here by the M's and N's, some by the S or Shabalala, some by the T's, some maybe by the Z's or Zulu. We're here, we're here, concentrated. So if you're splitting in 5, you can't say M and N in one classroom. That's obviously going to be a long ass queue. You take the number of voters that you have, and then you divide. If it's, for example, 10,000 people, you divide 10,000 divided by 5, that's 2,000. So some of the M's will straddle here, some will straddle there, some will... Horrible planning. The person whose surname starts with a C came in, was done in 2 minutes. The person whose surname starts with a T, they were in a queue for 3 hours. Queuing for 3 hours, 6 hours. Horrible. You go to another place where it's empty. Can I vote here? No, unfortunately, we only had a printout of surnames from H to what? Baba. Horrible planning from the IEC, horrible planning from the people that were working at the IEC there. Very, very sad. And people still didn't understand the 3 ballot papers. Some of the stations I heard that people were putting all ballot papers in one box. It's not really a big deal. You're supposed to put it in 3 different boxes, but when they start counting, they count everything together. They are obviously color-coded and they are stamped. So that shouldn't be a big deal. There are going to be a lot of spoiled ballots. People were not aware that if you make a mistake on your ballot, you can hand it back in, ask them to cancel it, and then get a new ballot. So there are people that maybe were putting a mark on a thing and then realized they made a mistake, scratched it out, put across somewhere else. That becomes a spoiled ballot. There were people that maybe put a mark somewhere else or wrote something being frustrated and then put it across some. That's a spoiled ballot. You're supposed to go and hand that back in and not fold it and put it in, because when they count, they're going to say there's more markings here than are acceptable, and therefore it's a spoiled ballot. This goes again to voter education. Something that could be done at schools, something that could be done at universities, something that could be done at churches. You take that IEC budget, you give it to pastors of big churches, you give it to big schools, you take it to football clubs, your Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, Sundowns, and you're like, please push to the people that are watching you. While people are watching a soccer game, while people you educate, you get someone like Penuel the Black to educate in the most basic way, even speaking in other official languages. Ayibeke ngesiZulu ukuthi njoba siyokhethweni njengamanje into kumele niqaphele bantu bakithi, praat in Afrikaans, almal wat gaan stem, maak seker dat wat abantu abakhuluma isiSuthu, iSpedi, whatever the case may be. But they failed. In areas, in certain areas, there were power outages, so voting stations had to be closed because there was no power. This is specifically at night. In some of suburbia, I heard of places like Randburg, I think Redham Waterfall, I think maybe Kyalami. There was another place that was really popular where there were long queues. Suburbia. Horrible. So I'm really disappointed by the IEC, and they need to, after everything's been said and done, they need to apologize. There were people in various WhatsApp groups who almost thought of giving up and going home and not voting. Those were the people that ended up voting, but I can imagine many other people standing in a queue for 5 hours and being like, I'm going home. And we probably lost out on thousands, if not tens of thousands, maybe even sadly hundreds of thousands of voters having to go home because the queues were too long. I heard of people collapsing in the queues. I don't know if this is an IEC issue. Maybe we can also look at the political parties, of which they got millions from the IEC, by the way. Things like making sure that there are queues for the elderly. There were very generous people moving out of the way. Please, can this person pass? But why not just, have them sorted? And if someone is deemed disabled, if someone is of a certain age, why not take the initiative to register them for special votes? Maybe do both. If you're over the age of 70, if you are legally disabled, you automatically get sent to special voting. You can vote on the special voting days, or you can vote on a normal vote. It's up to you, but you automatically qualify. You don't have to apply. You can do that. Make things easier for these people. Make sure that when you see old people in the queue, get people to go and help them vote where they are. Let them not have to stand in the queue, and make it easy for people. This is not rocket science. Again, these are things that don't need budget. It's things that need just basic logic. Basic logic. That made me very sad as well. What else am I forgetting? Maybe you guys will tell me in the comments some of the things that you saw or heard about. Some of the failures of the Independent Electoral Commission. I know Julius Malema, who voted in Seshego, where he grew up with his wife, was complaining about certain issues at the voting station where he was at. Jacob Zuma voted in his hometown of Nkandla. Cyril Ramaphosa with his wife, Dr. Tsepo Motsipe, voted where he grew up in Chawelo, in Soweto. Ex-President Thabo Mbeki voted at the Kilani Country Club. I know he was interviewed as well. Banyaza Lesufi, who's running for Premier of the ANC for Gauteng, voted in Tembisa, where he grew up. John Steenhuisen, I heard, voted in Durban, where he's from. I'm not sure if I heard of anyone else that was voting. I know Gayton McKenzie was arguing with the DA leader, where he was voting, where this white woman was asking, why are you here? You shouldn't be here. Really, really disgusting to hear about. I didn't read the article. I'm not sure of the story. I just saw the headlines. Really disgusting. They got into a bit of a verbal altercation there. Yeah, those were some of the stories. I know Mbuyiseni Ndlozi has been tweeting quite a lot, especially with the students. Wits University, I heard about, I think, Tux, long queues, which means, again, not great budgeting, not great planning. Students out in their numbers. We keep saying the youth don't vote. The youth are the biggest voters every election. It's just nice propaganda to say out there. But I think only 9% of our population is over the age of 60. Just numbers, Big bulk of people are 18 to 35 to 40. And at every election, it's been the youth vote that is the bulk, just by sheer numbers. And young people went out to vote. But now there's long-ass queues and IEC with your political parties that support you guys. Horrible. But yeah, man, shout out to the students that went out to go vote. We appreciate you guys, voicing your thoughts. I did say that I anticipate the EFF going up, particularly because many student bodies have been taken over by the EFF Student Command. So maybe we're going to see something happening there. Been a few incidents, there was a lot of concerns about KZN voting, and I think there were soldiers deployed there. But I haven't heard of anything really, really major. Some of the results that have been trickling in, if you go to the IEC tracking website, I'm going to put it in the description after this video is uploaded. I think when I saw it this morning, 2.5% had been counted. The Eastern Cape leading, very shocking, because the Eastern Cape normally has poor service delivery and those things, but very impressive. 70%, I think, counted. They're a big ANC area, province. Western Cape, I think, was at like 60%. Gauteng was over 55. Mpumalanga, KZN, I think a lot of the places had been like close to 50, over 50, going to 60. A lot of preliminary results, as early as it is, are showing a big showing by MK, Jacob Zuma's Mkhonto weSizwe, and people are really seeing MK and maybe the IFP taking KZN, but it's very early to call. The ANC got 53, if I'm not mistaken, percent of the votes, 53% of the votes, provincial votes in KZN last time. This is provincial results, by the way. So yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens. ANC is currently leading at 53%, the DA at just over 20%, the EFF at just under 8%. And then I saw MK below that. I saw the PA of Gayton McKenzie below that. I saw Freedom Front Plus below that. And then following down there, you'd see ACDP, ATM, Action SA. Yeah, but it's too early to call. So we're going to be making some of these videos to give like results as and when they come. So this is not final, of course. These are just preliminary. I've been disappointed by the abuse on social media of people's voting choices, including mine. For my national compensatory vote, the blue form, I voted for the Patriotic Alliance. For my regional national vote, which is also for Parliament, I voted for Herman Mashaba's Action SA. And then for my provincial vote, I voted for Musi Maimani's Build One South Africa, BOSA, of which the premier candidate is Unobuntu Hlazo Webster. The number of people that attacked me for my votes, calling it wasted votes, accusing me of being captured by white people. I should have rather voted for the DA. I'm voting for the Moonshot Pact, the multi-party party. People like me are waste. We're anti-revolutionary. We don't deserve to be called black people. It's really made me sad, disappointed in South Africans. Not surprised though. I've realized that there are a lot of zombies in this country who vote based on race, who vote based on the rhetoric and propaganda out there, and who vote because they've been bullied. And many people keep their votes secret for precisely this reason, because they are fearful of speaking out openly about who they support, because people bully them. Hey, my brother Penson made a video yesterday, and then he went on to show on Instagram, and I don't think this is allowed. I'm not sure if he's aware. He showed himself spoiling his ballot, putting words in the columns of certain political parties of what they should be doing, scratching out certain spaces, spoiling his ballot in effect, of which when they open it to the people that count, they're going to say spoiled ballot, everyone can see, and they're going to chuck it. They're not even going to read the comments, but that was him expressing himself. But the number of people that have attacked him for going out, standing in the queue, and stating that he's spoiling his ballot. Yes, sadly, whether he spoils or whether he stays at home, it's the same. It doesn't count. But it's his freedom of expression. And if we're going to say people are not free to express themselves by either spoiling a ballot because they don't believe in the political system, or because they choose to stay at home because they don't believe in the political system, that is their right. It is essentially what the ANC and the PAC and AZAPO and the IFP and other political parties and other struggle movements fought for your freedom of choice. Your freedom of choice can be rubbish. You can say, I wish apartheid comes back. I wish white people can rule again. It's a dumb opinion. It's stupid. But it is your freedom of choice. And when you voice it out there, I can be like, I'm really shocked. I think this is such a stupid, dumb thing to say. But it is your opinion. But when we tell people you should not have voted, rather don't share this. Don't. You bully the person doing it, and then without realizing it, you bully other people who have the same views. You're not hurting anyone by spoiling your ballot. You're not hurting anyone by not voting. It is your freedom of choice. You are not calling for apartheid. You are not calling for white people to be chased out of the country. You are not calling for this country to become Zimbabwe. You are saying, I'm choosing to spoil my ballot. That is, I don't believe in any of the parties. I'm choosing to stay at home. I'm registered or I'm not registered. I don't believe in this system. Yeah, but people died. They died so I can say I don't believe in this. My brother, like so many other South Africans, works in this country. He works. He adds value to this country. He creates jobs like so many other South Africans, whether it could be a domestic worker, a gardener, a security guard, someone who runs your errands, a PA. He creates jobs. He buys from businesses, stimulates the economy. He pays tax, which contributes to so many things out there. He's allowed to have a voice, whether his voice is not voting or spoiling their ballot, and he's allowed to have a voice on social media. You didn't vote, you spoiled your ballot, shut up. The people saying that are criminals in jail. People in jail could vote. People that have taken people's lives or stolen. People that are in hospital sick get to voice their opinions, they got to vote. People that don't have jobs get to vote. People that are looting, people that are corrupt get to vote. People that are just a menace to society get to vote. And you're saying because they voted, their voice carries more weight than someone who's a taxpayer, who contributes to the economy, who wants to share something on socials. We really need to, where we can, try and elevate people to a higher form of thinking. I know for the ordinary South African it's difficult because our education system is so bad, because they don't read books, because they unfortunately are just not thinkers. We've got an environment that is not created for thinking. We have reality TV, we have music, we have shebeens and taverns and alcohol and nyaupe, and trends on social media that don't encourage intelligence. Jacob Zuma, when he was a leader, demonized clever blacks. Today, the term clever black is used in a derogatory manner because you speak good English and you grew up in the suburbs and you have a good job and you maybe don't support the ANC or maybe an EFF or an MK today, you are deemed a clever black, which is meant to be like, I'm not a clever black. It's meant to be derogatory. We demonize intelligence. When you speak good English, you get demonized. Phela nina Penwell ngikhuluma isingisi nitsheni nazi kangcono. So, mele ngikhuluma isiZulu ukuthi ngazi kangcono. Mangikhuluma isingisi kusho mina nje hayi mina ngizenza umlungu. We need to do better. But we have zombies. And I just wanted to make a comment that as some of you are on social media today, tomorrow, when the final results come out, maybe try, be a bit sensitive to people's opinions. I know the elections are emotional. I know people's choices are emotional. You know, you see a black person voting DA and you get angry. You see a white person voting for the EFF and it doesn't make sense. You see people voting for Jacob Zuma and you believe he's corrupt. You see people voting for Julius Malema and you believe he's calling for open borders and you get upset. I understand. But please try, even when you are disagreeing, to be respectful as you can. I'm asking you to just try. Please. We already have so much fighting. Like, we can try and be better ourselves. We can try and see how it goes. Yeah. Is there anything else? I think that's all I wanted to raise right for now. I'm going to be making more videos later as news come in and as things get reported out there. Track social media, track the news, get into WhatsApp groups, educate, update your friends, your family members where you can. I'll try and do the same. Share my videos if you can. Follow the IEC, follow the mainstream news platforms. Again, elections are not the beginning and the end of the world. Voting is only one way to express yourself and be an active citizen. What's more important in voting is making sure that you work hard, adding value to the economy, you get a good education and schooling, and you educate yourself and you read books and you pass on that education. You acquire skills and you use them. You buy from local businesses so that we can create jobs locally and we can stimulate the local economy. You make sure that you volunteer in your communities and you do good work in your communities. I think that's very, very important. More than just voting. But we're in election season, so we're going to carry on riding the election wave and the insanity until next week, hopefully, and then things will die down and we'll get back to work. So yeah, I'm going to read your comments and then carry on with the rest of my day. I just want to see if there's anything that I maybe want to raise. Not really. Not really. Yeah, and I don't want to set up a WhatsApp group for elections. It's going to be a mess. A mess. So let's just keep it to social media. BTY election results looking interesting. Okay. SMWX, Mr. Extraordin, thanks, gave a shout out. Citizen Concerned, Solomon Sikhota. Usisu Zitukarabo, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize if I messed up her name. I was with her earlier last week. I think it was last week. The lady who runs Citizen Concerned. You can go and check that out as well on YouTube. Shout out to her. Vic, happy with the PA. I'm not happy with Action SA so far. Really, really early. Hopefully they dominate Gauteng, but I'm happy. Yeah, Rising Mzansi seems to be dead in the water. Very early to call. Millard Moyo, morning. How are South African election results going so far? Again, I'm going to drop a link to the tracker from the IEC, the official Independent Electoral Commission tracker. I'm going to drop a link in the description and in the comments. Solomon Sehota, Pena, I had a bad experience voting in Protea Glen. It was a disaster. I'm really sorry about that. Letu _ Mpila, it's sabotage. Return to the Cradle of Life says unbelievably believable. Tibani, Shongwani. How can we use ballot papers at this stage? Biometrics should have been used, and it also makes me sad, especially with blockchain, that we're not using technology, or at least piloting it. Vote manually, but let's also start piloting on the side, tech, and say, look, the tech is going to be unofficial, but we just want to see over time if we can align so that at some point we detach. Vanessa lives in a society. M, N, and K are very common. Bod literally faced this yesterday. The IEC is an absolute mess. Argued so much with the area manager. I believe we're being sabotaged. Very sad. I'm really sorry about that. That other dude made us wait in the line for 10 hours to vote. Jeez. Stelon Dlovu says I waited for 5 hours. That other dude said so many people left. Those are lost votes, which could have swayed the elections in certain areas. OB Sagefield, Gem of our Garden Route, 28th IEC denied 2 ballots, had to fight to get them. Big envelope with details, all 3 ballots into a small envelope, that into a big envelope, all into one box. Very scary. Harvey Sekel, thank you for your national vote for the PA. That's me. Thank you to anyone, whoever you voted for, ANC, DA, EFF. We're in the end zone now, so it doesn't matter who you voted for. You should be allowed to vote for whoever you want. We'll criticize the politicians later on, but for now, we appreciate you sharing your opinion on who should be running the country. Still, many people gave up and didn't vote. Future Khatebe. I didn't know that a ballot paper could be given back to an official to get a new one if someone made a mistake. Again, lacking voter education from the IEC. Quiet Conversation says, my friend was not allowed to vote nationally because she was not registered in Centurion. Yes, she's here for work. All she wanted was the IEC, as the IEC had said before. Yeah, because the IEC did say a couple of days ago that even if you didn't change your area, you can still vote nationally, but some vote as well, which was quite sad. Did I want to say something of this? Home Affairs and the IDs. I know Home Affairs, shout out to Home Affairs. They closed at 9 yesterday at 9 during special voting. They should have really educated people. It cannot be that people are still trying to get their IDs the day of voting or the day before, unless if you've been mugged, your ID's been stolen, etc. But for many people, there should have been a big push, especially last week with Home Affairs closing late. Come and get your ID. Check if you have an ID. Get your ID sorted so you can vote next week. There was a failure there, maybe from Home Affairs and the IEC together. Tukolo, big up to everyone who voted. Mr. Musegeni, 10% completed national vote now. The ANC is at 42%. That's hectic. Thank you so much for that update. I'll go check it as well. OB Sedgefield, do you expect KZN to demand referendum for independence? The King and Jacob Zuma, no. The people in KZN don't want an independent KZN, not at all. I know there's a party that's pushing for it, but it's nowhere close to the sentiment of the people of KwaZulu. Same as the Western Cape. Most people in the Western Cape do not want an independent Cape. Tsepo Mpila. I was one of the people that waited for 5 hours just to vote, and it was clear to me that the IEC does not take us seriously based simply on the appointment. Sam Munkwe. That is sad, man. Ati Maselana says, thanks, Peneli Mnyama, for the work you're doing, bro. Appreciate you guys. Viwe Kuza, no one is saying it's not your choice. No one is saying it's not your choice. No, it's definitely people's choices. I'm just saying, please don't abuse people on social media for their choices. Criticize them, disagree with them, but don't abuse them. There's a difference between I'm disappointed that you voted for the PA and you're a fucking idiot for voting for an ex-convict. There's a difference in that. And I'm just saying, let's try and be nuanced in our communication and be thoughtful to people. It's not about the color of the person's skin. It's about the policies and principles they stand for. Fully agreed. And that's for people that are non-racialist and that are into values. Sam Munkwe. I think we forget that we the people are pack animals and we are always looking for a group identity. Definitely true. Definitely true. But we mustn't abuse each other. We've already got racism, tribalism, xenophobia. Now we're going to be hating each other over who you voted for. We can do better. Return to the cradle of life. It's an act of resistance and to show you don't believe in this system / shitstem, as Tosh called it. Obi Sedgefield, teach your butt to enjoy some fishing. It'll sort him out. Wow Entertainment, I see you. Ntlonipo Danisa says I must go sleep. I'm not going to do that. No ways. Rager, I see you. Oh yeah. People are dissing me. It's fine. Let me not read these comments. I try to not read negative comments. Creations Holdings. Clever Black is not about good English. It's about ideological alignment and reasoning for your political choice. And there's definitely that as well. But the idea, like I said, was that people that speak good English, people that grew up in the suburbs, as soon as you do that, you're labeled. It's not, again, we have zombies in this country. Sometimes your political ideologies may be aligned to them, but because of how you present, you find people saying silly things. Ngomega, I see you. See here. New Matebe Land, a modern Mtwagazi state, says best wishes, Qabane. Nola Kwev, the head student, I'm not sure what this point was. Oh, Katleho, sorry, the lady on Citizen Concerned. My apologies for that. Nipo, Moose, clever blacks is a term used to describe someone who thinks they are right just because they may speak English well without actual intellectual content in their speaking. Not what you're saying it is, and this is their view on the clever blacks. Sidwell Miataza, we're already experiencing electricity issues here in Cape Town. Nola Kwev, they had students trying to rectify the scan and tablet issues. Surely for such an important issue, they would have had experienced IT people. Viwe Kuza, Bossa might just do better than Action SA, totally unexpected. Still, sorry, some network issues. Lima Sports Program. Good day, panel. The IEC had poor planning. Tembisa was just a problem in all voting stations. Waited 6.5 hours. El Chapo, Lwazi Fadan. I don't think I will ever vote again. It's really sad. Also, Siso and stuff. Is the IEC really independent? Question mark. I think the IEC should have allowed those who didn't register where they live to vote on national and provincial ballots. If they have the capacity, definitely. Ngomega, is it true that if registered voters don't vote, their vote / no vote goes to the ruling party? That is not true at all. Mary Spangenberg changed address in time, but it didn't reflect. That's pathetic. I'm really sorry about that, Mary. Suzette, no, our South African government loves the manual setup because it's easier to manipulate. Online systems usually have built-in audit trails and much better controls. Online is also very dangerous, by the way, Suzette. So I think a good mix of both for now is what would work. Online it's easy to hack and manipulate those numbers. So we mustn't think online and those things are the one pill and the one bullet. ANC guys, Free State, Northwest, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Limpopo, they love ANC. This is Black Tag saying, I have zero hope for SA. Josh Parker, what are we talking about? Just joined. You can watch the video later when it uploads. Tsepang Sekhobela, do you think the votes were rigged? Personally, I don't. I know many people who do. Mongameli Tebe, I was at Wits campus from 11:45 a.m. until 6:05 p.m. I wish they said all the 1994 babies should get a special voting treatment. Very sad. Thokozani Nkosi, I see you. Mongameli, I already saw you. Obi Sagefield, just hoping that arrogance gets ripped away from the ANC officials. They must be humbled. They've earned it 30 years later and they still flaunt. Hamba. Babalo, Muilwa. Does the IEC only work after 5 years? They don't. They literally work every year. Every year, these people have full-time jobs. It's shocking. It's only the volunteers at like the stations and what that come in during election season. But these guys have full-time employment. Jason Feta, I see you. Caleb Venarpen, are your election predictions still the same? What is your election prediction as of now? Has it changed? Currently, it hasn't changed because the results are too early to call. I still stand by what I said a day or two ago. Maybe when we're at 50%, I might start saying, hey, maybe I was wrong here. It looks like. But I'm also happy to have been wrong. It was just predictions at the end of the day. Tabo Johannes, IEC personnel didn't allow those who couldn't register to vote, but they captured our details, which I find strange. That is very strange. Why would they capture your details and not allow you to vote? Stone, Batsani. What's happening, my people? Penal never joined your live, always watching your videos. I'm all for Pan-Africanists. Myself, my children and women love you. And you're kind always, brother. Stay humble. Thank you so much, Stone. The halftime with Vichida Sama. IEC level of incompetence yesterday is crazy. I honestly don't trust this election at all. And I was very hopeful. Sabelwe Sihle. No, Mapoloba. It seems we South Africans are not serious enough to rescue ourselves from this ANC-led coloniality. Tsepang Matume, that is why my book was declined by traditional publishing houses titled Failures of the IEC, and now I know why the IEC has failed us. Suzette asks, full-time employment to do what exactly? The IEC does a whole lot of work, by the way. You can go to their website, click on about, you'll see the work that they're meant to do to track. You know, they're an independent commission. They do a lot of work with political parties, with governance, etc., etc. So you can go and check out on their website what they do. Khomulimo Maja, I see you. Yeah, let me be out. I'll catch up with you guys later. Please stay tuned. Again, check out the description or the pinned comment on where you can track elections and try and be a bit sensitive to people on social media. Let's not fight unnecessarily. Hector Malete, I see you. Renee Munyai, I see you. Maveja, I see you. Have a great and blessed day. Catch up with you guys soon. Cheers.